sind wir wie Feuer und Flamme.
Denn es gibt keinen anderen Gott.
Keinen anderen Gott als Allah.
Denn es
In the heart of Christian Germany, 3 brothers, Martin, Stefan, and Daniel, grew up in the German village of Landstetten.
La ilaha illallah.
Martin, the older one, and Stefan is the second. They are 2 years apart. And Martin was always very reflective, and Stefan was always very.
Stefan was that one who had many friends also here in that area, and he was playing football, and every time when it was possible out of our home to have a nice time with his friend, to make also meetings and to have fun.
Hallo ihr zwei. Leckerer.
We are very close in age. There are only 2 years in between of us, so there was naturally some kind of rivalry between us. And he was very much into football, so I completely kept out of football, for example. And like that we lived. What he was doing, I wasn't doing, and the other way around.
We had completely different friendship circles and also different hobbies. So we did not spend a lot of time together, even as young adults. We only saw each other now and then.
Well, Stefan was kind of not a real member of the family. So he was always trying to get out. He was playing a lot of video games and had kind of his own world. I wasn't not happy at all with this.
The elder 2 had very different personalities, and as Martin went through school, he found other friends.
Age 15, 16, 17. One of my classmates, he's from Egypt. When we were discussing different matters, for example, what kind of system could bring peace to the society, then he also shed some ideas from Islam. At a certain point, I realized that whenever he presented an idea which is related to the Quran, then I had to admit that my own ideas, which I may have brought from my home or so, that they are weak in front of the idea put forward by the Quran. So, and that's why the interest developed in myself, that I wanted to read that source of wisdom.
Martin had accepted Islam and changed his name to Hamad.
Maliki yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. From the very first verses we can say, I read in the Quran, it was very much appealing to me, because I had that feeling that God is addressing in a way directly me. Whenever I followed God, it was for my advantage, and whenever I did not follow the Quran, then it was for my own disadvantage. So in that way, I really realized that the God who has sent that book is a living God. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Then happened 9/11, and at that point I definitely can say that I was a true Muslim, because everywhere suddenly Islam was not spoken about anywhere before. But suddenly everyone was speaking about Islam, and if this attack had something to do with Islam or not. And actually the media more or less also brought that idea to the people that, okay, there must be something with Islam and we are in a war with Islam and so on and so forth. And I was defending Islam at every place I could and was telling, yeah, just read the Quran. The Quran never supports such ideas like this.
But now he faced a problem. Which Islam?
So when I moved to Munich due to studies, at that time, you also know, I don't had any contact to Muslims on a regular basis. I was not visiting any mosque and so on. And anyhow, there I met an Arab brother my age, and he took me to the local mosque. When I met these other Muslims, I had realized that there is not one Islam, but that everyone has his own ideas about Islam, and the ideas which they presented to me, they did not fit in what I have learned from Quran. I was somewhat depressed that I had found a book, obviously the book of God, which is testifying the truth of the books before and also the truth of all the messengers of God. And now I met the believers of this book, and they were so different than this book and the religion which was presented in that book. And so this was very disturbing for me. I can also say depressing in a way. And but Allah says in the Holy Quran that whenever you encounter any problem, then show patience and pray. So this was then my approach. Okay, I have to show patience and pray. And I prayed and asked to Allah, is there any truth I do not yet know? That truth dawned upon me a few days after that very intense prayer. I found an article on the internet. I was Googling, I was starting to read it. Thanks to God, with every sentence, one of the misconceptions of the other Muslims was removed. And it was removed with solid arguments from the Quran and from the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and also in line with logic. And I checked, okay, on which homepage is this article, and it was on ahmadiyya.de, the homepage of the German Jamaat. The author was Hadayatullah Hibsh Sahib.
And where I go, there will be Qadian. And where I'll be, there will be the Quran. And where I'll be, there will be the Quran. And where I'll go, there will be Qadian.
Some number was given on the homepage, and from there I came to know that there's also a mosque close to my university. So I also went there.
So he came to our mosque, and he had some questions about Islam, and as I remember, these questions was about Sufism. And I tried to answer him, and my first impression was that he has a very clean nature, and he came to us not to discuss, but to understand.
And after one Jummah, everyone went home. I was still alone in the mosque, and I found myself still sitting in the mosque waiting for something. And then I decided, okay, maybe I should also go home. But when I had that thought, another feeling came in my heart, a very strong feeling that if I now go and do not accept Islam Ahmadiyyat and still wait for a sign which makes it clear to me that this is the true path, then I'm really ungrateful to God, because it is obviously that it's the true Islam, the true religion of God.
Schön, schön, schön ist der Islam. Schön ist der Islam. Schön, 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 schön ist der Islam. Schön, 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 schön ist der Islam. Schön, 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 schön ist der Islam. Schön, schön, schön.
Hamad turned to the Quran for answers.
Schön, schön, schön.
Stefan, though, wasn't impressed with Islam.
Everybody who is not actively investigating about Islam has negative feelings because the image which is portrayed in the media is bad. There were also some negative elements in my heart.
He was not ready to hear advice about anything about Islam. This is reality. I thought it is not easy for him. Yeah.
I actually did not like listening to it or having an argument. For me, religion was something far away. I would have termed myself most likely as an atheist. The relationship with my brother was not very solid, and talks and arguments about Islam did not end in any united, more unity, but maybe more, misunderstanding or no understanding.
He was kind of observing what's going on, what's happening, and kind of being irritated that there was no possibility to go to Andex to have a beer or something with his brothers.
I knew that you are not allowed to eat pork and you're not allowed to drink alcohol. So this did not fit at all into the Bavarian lifestyle. I did not think at all about accepting Islam when my brother Hamad accepted Islam. This was not at all an option in my life.
Daniel now witnessed his brother's slightly different lifestyles.
There was one weekend, Daniel went to the mosque on Friday with Hamad, and on Saturday he went with Stefan to a soccer game. And after that he told me that they bought a lot of beer, and they were marking their way to the stadium with beer bottles. So that was, Daniel told me that. So I thought, well, poor child, it has this huge differences between his brothers. One day to the mosque and the other day to the stadium, marking the way with beer bottles. So.
In my opinion, the Jamati events were very much suitable for a young child to be there because, there's nothing like alcohol misusage and other stuff. Naturally, every parents in the whole world try to keep their children away. And so he went with me to local functions in our mosque.
I remember that there I had a talk with a friend of mine that why is Hamad, it's good that he's doing this for himself, but why is he teaching these things to Daniel as a young boy? So I thought, yeah, it's an innocent boy. So, and of course, if the parents don't teach, why does the elder brother? That was maybe, now and then hard to understand, yes.
Know if anyone likes it or not. I had the permission of my parents and they were okay with it. So I didn't care if Stefan was happy about it or not.
Stefan may have been irritated by Islam, but Hamad's wife Henny proved to be more receptive.
Assalamu alaikum. Na, hast du gegessen? Ja, bist du satt geworden? Pommes. I was really actually doubting at some point if there is a God, and then through my investigation of Islam, I found out that actually science and religion don't have to be contradictions, and as the Holy Quran says, look around and see your surroundings, study nature, study science to see the beauty of God, and this was actually then also that that made me fall in love with God again. With Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I fell in love with his character, and I was attracted to his character, that he was so kind and loving, and that he was, that he had a very noble character. I started to find this truth in Islam and also in the rules. The asthma was gone. It's like I found this peace in the rules, actually, that I think many people are now missing, and that's why many people are restless nowadays. Ja. Du hast die ganze Zeit Quatsch gemacht da vorne.
Hamad was overjoyed to see Henny accept Islam. Meanwhile, Stefan moved to the Netherlands and found a partner of his own.
Katharina, I liked her character a lot and perceived her as a very pure and lovely being. I was very happy. Really, of course, I loved her. Yes. I'm madly in love. This expression, I doubt that it comes from me.
Now Hamad invited Stefan to attend the annual convention, or Jalsa Salana, of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in the United Kingdom. Stefan was curious.
It was curiosity about Islam also, but also getting to know the kind of people my brother is now dealing with.
Many people, also of course Stefan, I asked if they would like to come with me to Jalsa Salana, and Alhamdulillah he accepted that invitation.
Stefan and Hamad were on their way to the annual convention when they stopped in Frankfurt and picked up a third passenger.
I know Stefan, that time he was really not, he was very hard. Yes, how is it possible? So is it right? So how is it possible that there is a God?
Atta Zubair was with my brother and me in the same car. So we had a lot of time from Frankfurt till London. And I just asked all questions which were in my mind, and it started with the very typical questions which you have. And we went further and further and deeper and talked about so many things.
And I was giving him some personal, you can say some personal experiences which I had when I asked Beloved Hazur for prayers and how Hazur prayed and these things happened. So I was telling him, how is this possible if there is no God? How are these prayers been accepted? So he was listening very carefully to all the stories, and sometimes would say, this can be also a coincidence. I can say yes. Also, it can be a coincidence. But so many coincidences, one after the other, it's not possible.
What ways are left? I could have said, okay, this is a crazy person who is lying to me, or he's right. I did not have many solutions available. And I knew he's right and he's not lying, because the way he was talking to me, the way I have been seeing him, it was a truthful person.
The keynote speaker at the annual convention was the global head and caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper.
His Holiness said after the open ceremony, now let's all join for silent prayer and let's also pray for good weather of this Jalsa, because it was typical English weather, rainy.
Allah Ta'ala हर एक को हर किस्म के शर से महफूज रखे और मौसमी हालात से और हर किस्म की बद असरात से हमेशा हर एक महफूज रहे.
And His Holiness raised his hands and said dua. And I was sitting there not following in prayer but just observing, and I realized that with this prayer the sky, the clouds were moving and it was like a direct acceptance of this dua. And I said to my brother afterwards, it's impressive what can happen if so many people join together in prayer.
Stefan returned from the annual convention and told his partner Katerina he wished to become a Muslim.
Yeah, this Jalsa visit turned around my whole life. I was, from nowadays perspective, very much overburdened. Trying to change your life yourself, but then explaining Islam to your dear one is, I think, an enormous task, which one is not able to do.
He just said he now knows for sure that God exists and that he wants to go this way, and that Islam Ahmadiyya is the truth. I think I was overwhelmed. I thought we'll talk about it later. It was just a surprise, but what can I do? Yeah.
La ilaha illallah.
Stefan now embraced Islam and, at last, he embraced his elder brother, Hamad.
Beautiful to see how Islam is strengthening your family and your relationships within your family, because it's not only about my brother but also about my parents.
For me as a father, I'm very, very happy because they are, in my feeling, on a very good way in their life. They have good goals, and one thing that is also very important is that the family, the total family is one of the main points also in their lives, and so we are very close together.
Relieved because then he stopped smoking and no more alcohol. That was, for him, it was good, I think.
And now the first time in our life we are doing the same thing. This was really astonishing, and again for me something which only God can do. Also in the Quran it says that maybe you had been before enemies. We were not enemies, but sometimes maybe we behaved like enemies. And but with Islam properly applied may bring you together as brothers.
وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا.
The family were pleased with Stefan's new faith, but there was one relationship which was suffering.
Katharina told me many times that she will never accept Islam and she will never wear hijab.
I didn't really know a lot about Islam. I had it in school, like a part of my religious class. I just remembered September 11. That was a negative impression I had.
Of course, many discussions arose, and we discussed it a lot, and it was very, very hard, very, very challenging, and certainly both of us made mistakes which were hard for the heart of the other one.
He said, well, Katri has to find out on her own what she wants.
Because we were at the point where we did not see any solution to continue our relationship, me being a Muslim. It was very sad. I prayed a lot. I cried a lot in prayer, especially in this time. And it was difficult because I was basically on my own. And she could join this society and just going to the normal people. I also think I tried to submit to the way of God, to leave this matter with God, to show God that, oh, my Lord, I'm ready to give up anything for you, even if it is the most loved person in my life. If this is your will, I bow down.
Stefan's prayers didn't go unanswered. Katrina, after doing extensive research and prayers, also accepted Islam Ahmadiyyat.
Sometimes I have the feeling that I needed to give her up completely so that Allah united us again the way He did.
And I went with my friend Alia Latif, and we sat together during the Bayat ceremony, and it was a very special feeling. Yeah, and I think that was when I decided myself I want to be part of this.
So this was completely without my interference, and I think it was good like this and also important because this decision is a decision between you and God and nobody else. She had been changing for quite some time. She had already been defending Islam, she had been defending me and everything, and so it was obvious that she took this way, but she was struggling herself, as it is very difficult to change yourself.
Stefan had left his home empty for Allah, and so Allah restored to him Katerina as his wife and granted them a daughter and a son and another son and then a third son. They are always playing with their cousins, the children of Hani and Hamad, who live nearby. As for Daniel, on reaching adulthood, he formally joined Islam, the faith that unites the hearts of the hearters.
Sit down there. दुआ कर लें